So today we're going to be talking about question number 3, which is how does your product engage with audiences and how would it be distributed as a real media text? So today I have with me Surana Rana and Zuhair Babasi, the actors in the film. So Surana, like in regards to how we went about filming this, do you not think like we left a lot of scenes open-ended?
Definitely.
That really ropes in a lot of the audience?
I think whenever you think about it from an actor's perspective, even a writer's perspective, the story itself has so much room for development. And I think even whenever we watched audience reaction in our premieres and everything, we really saw they were intrigued and they wanted to see the rest of the movie. As a writer, I kept in mind that there is going to be a movie after this. It's not just entirely a script or an idea. There has to be room for something. I think that's why having it open-ended was really, really important.
I agree. And then the other thing also that our film had was relatability, the realness in it, and the emotion, that point of view. Like, it's a very taboo topic. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but it's a very real issue.
Definitely.
Right? And I think roping in the audience from an emotional point of view, because people can relate to it, and something you can relate to becomes dear to your heart, or you can just like enjoy it, right? The relatability for any media text.
I agree 100% because this is especially normal in a society like Pakistan, and people, you're right, people do
very
not,
prevalent.
people do not want to talk about it because they think that this is a private business. But it's
And another thing that I noticed is that you don't need to apply a lot of your deductive skills because the enigma is given in the first scene, and the plot just very naturally unfolds. It's not like a murder mystery where you have to rattle your brain. And sometimes, movies and shows and just media text in general that doesn't involve a lot of your intellectual skills is very relaxing, and it doesn't size down your audience.
Definitely. I think it does. I think it's a lot even more than that. I think it doesn't even, just because it's not like complex, I think, or something that's different, I think in its own area, it's a very real thing that you have, and I think therefore it's also equally important that I don't think it's too much on an audience, that it's over the top. I think it's actually very real, very nice, that if you go to watch a movie, you'd actually enjoy it, and not as a movie that's just easygoing that you watch like, a family movie. It's more of an intense, real film that I think tackles so many different ideas and audiences and ropes in so many different kinds of people.
And the fourth thing that we had in mind was to film it very aesthetically.
Definitely.
We really we really worked on every scene. In the love shots, it's very evident because we had multiple locations, and then the way we color graded it as well, it was really all for the aesthetics.
Definitely. I feel like as the director of photography as well, they definitely had like an upper hand in terms of, especially in your artistic side, you were really able to, I think, in work in composition, being able to get shots, really being able to figure out things that own the camera so much.
Yeah, and I created a lot of parallels as well for that.
Definitely. We have quite a few in our montage especially, and I think in terms of everything, I think the aesthetic appeal and everything of our project goes down to them because they really had an amazing vision in terms of artistically portraying something. As a writer, I could not be more happier than to be partnered with Fatma.
That's very kind of you. No, so like you were the actor, but at the end you only got to see it at the premiere. You didn't see in the middle all of that stuff, like post-production, editing. So what was your reaction when you saw it?
I was quite, I don't know how to explain the exact feeling, but it was mixed with surprise and excitement.
Yeah.
Because the anticipation I felt of seeing myself act, and also the enthusiasm I got, like the audience itself,
and the audience really loved the love shots.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because it was very aesthetic. That's
and
the
the effort
thing.
we put into the love shot, that was
like we don't have very boring shots. We have track shots, we have tilts, and we have all of that stuff, and I think that really adds to a scene.
I agree. Yeah.
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 Because I did it like really good as well, so that adds up.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then I think from the distribution perspective, because you were the writer, you wrote a movie. So Surana basically wrote a film, and then we made an opening sequence to that film. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So basically the whole idea kind of came as one night I was just listening to music, and then when this one song played on my playlist, and it was by Clan called I Hold You, and I don't know, for that every single scene came into my head and I was able to plan out an entire film just to that song. And from there, whenever we first were deciding our group members and everything, I think that was like one of the main conditions, I think, in terms of bringing us together. We both agreed on that and for our final project. And I think from a marketing perspective, I mean, if I think about it as a film, I think you could definitely rope in audiences in terms of the aspect, even the opening sequence, and usually even if you're like doing public speaking or anything like that, it's always that first sentence, that first 2 minutes, or the first aspect or the first impression that matters always. And that's why I think our opening sequence is really good in terms of that. I think even from like a perspective as a businesswoman, it would take a lot to take in terms of generating revenue and box office credibility. Definitely it's possible.
Yeah, and I think because it was made to be a film, we would definitely have it in the cinemas for like a month and a half, and then that would generate a lot of income and then revenue. Yeah, even the way they marketed Batman, it was how like they used their dynamics, Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson, and they used that.
I think as actors and everything, you use a lot in terms of your already ongoing following, in terms of everything like that. Even like in our premiere, we had a good 30 people, a collective of like our friends and his friends as well, and like family as well. And there's like a lot, I think, that comes in terms of who your actors are and who you're using. And I think from that perspective, from a marketing perspective, you need to have people, even if you're using, for instance, unknowns. For instance, Timothée Chalamet was once an unknown guy, but the appeal that he would have to the audiences, what they were targeting, that's where you have to understand gauge, which is very important, your class, age, gender, ethnicity that you're targeting. And I think from a perspective as a director, it takes a lot in terms of what we were looking at. I think we're targeting more of a mature audience because it is very intense, it is triggering as well. And it's definitely, I think, even though it has a very nice flow to it, I don't think it's too much. And I think it carries a lot, and I think it has a lot of meaning. I think it's much deeper than, you know.
Because on the surface it looks like, it doesn't look like it's much, but you watch it again, you see the details, you see all the props, you see everything, all the little details that have been put, and you realize it's much deeper than it is.
In terms of audiences, I feel like there was so much as well that really brought in and roped in audiences from all different kinds of ways, right? We didn't target, just like you said, we didn't introduce our audience to something very small. We went to...
Because I feel like the audience could relate to both his storyline and your storyline.
Definitely. I think there is... One of the things I think as a writer that made this, I think, a very beautiful project is I wanted these characters to be human, you know? Like, you see this aspect in them, and there's so many things that are very real. For instance, you see him shout at her, but you can understand as well. You can even understand her perspective. You can understand, and then I think you come to hate him, and you come to really, I think, sympathize with our you know, our heroine.
It justifies what she does at the end, you know? It really justifies her killing.
But it doesn't exactly justify it, because the thing is our love shots is what creates that parallel, and I think that's what I love the most about it, and it really brings in
I think in the movie version it justifies.
In the movie, you'll probably figure it out, but I think for this, for an opening sequence, I think it leaves the audience wanting to know more, because if you have this perspective that you hate someone and the next minute you see them being so loving and so kind, and you feel for them and you feel for her.
Between the relationship over the course of the years.
Definitely, there is so much, and I think as a team of people behind this project, as well as being involved like Sohaib as well, there is so much, and I think as a project, it's pretty great in terms of tackling so much.
And I think the main thing is, would people want to watch it? And I think yes, because we even tested it out on the premiere. So we had, like, as Rena mentioned before, like our friends and her family come over, and we had a screening, and they all loved it, especially the love shots. And you know, that gives you a bit of a perspective of how your audience would react. So I think from that point of view, we even tested the waters.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think like we would have it in the cinema for a month and a half, then we would release it to OTT services, and before that we would have like big campaigns, you know, like interviews and all of that stuff.
So would an audience member, would you watch it?
I would. Would you?
I would definitely watch it.
So would I.